You've heard about gut feelings, but what if intuition wasn't just nerves? What if something really was trying to warn you about taking that new job offer, or moving across the country, or even walking home alone late at night? What makes the gut so special? A group of scientists found something that might change your entire outlook on life. What if your gut was far more capable than you initially thought? What if it's trying to warn you because it can sense things differently in time by sharing memories that haven't happened yet? I know, it sounds crazy, but why do we trust something inside the body that can't even see the outside world? Why is there a direct highway from the gut to the brain's emotional center? And what if your body and mind were connected to time and space in ways we never thought possible? Join me as we unravel these questions and more and enter the Codex Legendarium. I'm Shelby Melanson. Medicine has known about the brain-gut connection for a long time, and a lot of it goes back to an incident back in 1822. That's when a French-Canadian fur trader was shot in the stomach, and while by some miracle he didn't die, he was left with a hole in his stomach. And interestingly, it gave the doctor who treated him a literal window into the world of digestion and how it played into his mental state. Going way further back, the ancient Greeks and China's Jin dynasty noticed something similar: changes in the mental and emotional states of patients when they were treated with different gut microbiomes. 75 years ago in 1947 is when things really came into focus. A study found that emotions, and especially stress, have huge impacts on the gastrointestinal tract. To test it, the experiment put volunteer medical students under sudden and major stress by telling them that they had a fake but very scary medical diagnosis. Not super ethical, okay, but their gut muscles immediately launched into strong contractions with increased blood flow. And when it was revealed that the bad news wasn't real, they immediately relaxed. Here's why that happens. The link between the brain and the gut works both ways. It's not just the brain sending the gut signals, but the gut sending the brain signals too. On top of that, information from the gut, things like hormones and what's going on with digestion, also gets sent to the central nervous system. Medicine calls this the gut-brain axis. Basically, its job is to make sure the brain knows exactly what's going on inside the body at all times. If you look even closer, brain imaging shows that signals from the gut head directly to the parts of the brain that deal with emotion and cognition. In other words, your gut has a direct, two-way highway to your feelings. You ever lose your appetite when you're dealing with profound sadness, or either eat way too much or forget to eat at all when life feels unstable, either in a good or a bad way? And if you're one of the many people whose stomach starts hurting when you get stressed out, you already know this. So how does all that translate to gut feelings as a sixth sense, intrinsically or subconsciously just knowing something when you can't explain why? Scientists in quite a few studies say gut feelings, or more broadly intuition, is the body's ability to notice something when the mind hasn't consciously. This shows up in ways like feeling you're being watched, or getting a strong sense of danger even though, at a glance, things seem fine. Later on, you might find out that you subconsciously picked up on the presence of something actually dangerous without knowing it. That's intuition in action. But what if it goes way deeper than that? What if that sixth sense is actually a memory of something that hasn't happened yet? I know, sounds insane, right? But did I pique your interest? This isn't some outlandish claim. Stay with me and let's break down the science. First things first, we need to talk about how the present might actually impact the past. I know. If any of you are Marvel fans, you know about the quantum realm from Ant-Man. We're talking about shrinking down to the size of atoms, or even subatomic particles like electrons. Researchers from the University of Surrey in England published a groundbreaking paper in the science journal Nature in January this year. It theorizes that at the quantum level, inside specific quantum systems and depending on the processes happening there, time could actually move forward and backward, both directions, not just one. This would totally contradict what's called the arrow of time. Kind of self-explanatory, given we experience time flowing only one way. But something about it has bugged scientists for centuries. The math, aka the laws of physics, and the equations that describe them aren't actually locked into one direction. Okay, I hear you. What does that have to do with gut feelings? For that, let's go back to the mid-90s, when scientist Dean Radin came up with a theory and put it to the test. Now, Radin got his PhD in educational psychology and soon got curious about the capabilities of the brain and mind that sometimes get brushed off by, let's call it, orthodox science. In other words, what's generally accepted by the masses. He theorized that human consciousness might not be bound to time the way our bodies are. To test it, he wanted to see if the minds of test participants could predict what kinds of images they might be shown moments before they were shown them. So, he hooked participants up to EEG machines to measure the electrical signals in their brains, and he had them press a button, which would present an image 5 seconds later. The images could be either positive or negative. Think a sunset versus a car crash. As for what he saw, in the 5 seconds between pressing that button and seeing the image, brain activity was relatively quiet ahead of positive images. But for negative ones, before seeing the image, the EEG machines saw a spike in brain waves right before seeing the negative image. The results were statistically significant, aka incredible, and it inspired other researchers to repeat the same experiment, which was done successfully almost 36 more times. And if you didn't know, repeatability, or lack thereof, is one main way that science tends to disparage unconventional ideas. But even that isn't the case here. He even went so far as to have statisticians look at the data and confirm its validity as well. As for why Radin believes any of this is possible, he says it could have quite a lot to do with something called quantum entanglement. How, in the quantum realm, particles that are physically far from each other in space can still be strongly connected and able to share information virtually instantly. Meaning, intuition could work the same way. Radin wrote, quote, "Some people hypothesize that precognition is your brain entangled with itself in the future, because entanglement is not only things separated in space, but also separated in time." He continues, "If it can be entangled with itself in the future, in the present, you'd be feeling something like a memory that is going to happen in the future." This might also be able to explain the feeling of déjà vu, and it probably plays into something else called synchronicity, which you can learn more about in another episode. And what if I told you that the CIA already knew all about this and wanted to use the brain's hidden superpowers as the ultimate form of wartime espionage all the way back in 1983? Let me know if you want to hear about that one in a future discussion. The scientists behind all of this have one other point to make. And to me, the idea is awe-inspiring. They suggest that way more of us would actually be aware of these senses if mainstream society didn't just brush them off as way too far out there or far-fetched. And if that doesn't stop and make you think for a second, I don't know what will. If the gut-brain axis really has a built-in link to time and space, it would mean that not only is precognition a lot closer to home than fantasy might have you believe, but also that a lot of people are probably capable of it, at least on some level. Maybe the biggest takeaway from this research is that, despite how never-ending human curiosity is, we understand very, very little about how the mind and body work together, let alone the true capabilities of the human consciousness. In my opinion, that's something that should inspire us to think outside the box when looking for answers. So, whether it's memories from the future, multi-directional time in the quantum realm, or just that stomach ache you always get right before a big presentation or a math test, maybe it's all just a lesson on learning to really trust your gut. Put stake in what feels like the right path for you, not just blindly walking in the direction that you're told. In the end, I like this quote from the book Sand and Foam. "When you reach the end of what you should know, you will be at the beginning of what you should sense." But what do you think? Are gut feelings and intuition the body's ingenious way of communicating with the mind? Could we really sense memories from the future? And seriously, what is going on with time in the quantum realm? I'd love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments, and if you have an idea for something you'd like to see a future episode on, let me know. And of course, if you enjoyed this deep dive into mysteries, myths, culture, and science, drop us a like and subscribe. And share this video. Until next time, stay curious. Thank you.